Yo, what is good, Jets Nation? Welcome back to Jets Media. This is Richie, and in this video, I want to give you guys my 2023 draft class grades for the New York Jets. We officially know all of the draft picks. It is finally over. The NFL draft wrapped up yesterday, day number 3, and the New York Jets and Joe Douglas, they made a lot of interesting moves, and I'm really excited to give you guys my overall thoughts. So we're going to go by each prospect, give a letter grade, and then we're going to give an overall grade, in my opinion, of what this whole 2023 draft class is. Let me know your thoughts down below of your overall thoughts of Joe Douglas's 2023 draft class, because I'm really curious to hear what you guys have to say. I could feel that this draft class is not the favorite amongst the fan base, but there are some that like it. There's some that are not fans of it. Joe Douglas went the approach, especially in day number 3, trading back multiple times, acquiring 2 additional picks, but some people are kind of upset because they feel like they missed out on better prospects. But I don't know. If you look at this from the perspective of the Jets filling out the roster of depth at positions of need and going with the best player available and really getting athletic players in this team, I don't know. We'll see what I think about it. So let's break it all down. But before we do so, please do me a gigantic favor, guys. Hit that thumbs up button if you're not already, and feel free to comment down below your thoughts of this draft. Now, with that being said, let's get right into it. So my grade for Will McDonald IV, the edge rusher from Iowa State. Now, this was a draft pick that I think everybody has kind of had to come around on, simply because nobody expected that to be the pick. So my grade for Will McDonald is B. Now, I think that the New York Jets, they went into this draft in the first round in particular. We moved down from 13 to 15. None of the offensive tackles are available. Some Jets fans, including myself at the time, wanted JSN at that spot, or maybe a Kalijah Kancey, but nobody expected the pick to be Will McDonald. Now, the reason why it's a B and nothing like an A is simply because that Will McDonald, according to some people, was not supposed to go at 15. He was more projected around the 20s, late 20s, even early second round. So it's kind of a reach if you look at it from that perspective. But then you look at, but then when you look at it from not where he's projected to go in the draft, based on just him as a prospect and him as a player, that's what gets me excited. Because Will McDonald, we broke it all down on the channel before, 7-foot wingspan, freakishly athletic, plays pretty much every single sport throughout his entire life, and he has speed, he's twitchy, his bend, his get off, his length, his size. He has the ability to be that, edge rusher that could be the closer for the New York Jets for the long run. And we all know that this Jets team, especially on the defensive side of the ball with Robert Saleh, it's all about getting to the quarterback. And when you have a lot of quarterbacks in the conference that the Jets have to get through, and Josh Allen in the division, Mahomes, Burrow, you know who's in the conference in the AFC. The Jets need to have players on defense that can get to that quarterback and disrupt their rhythm. And Will McDonald adding to the mix of Jermaine Johnson, Michael Clemens, Carl Lawson, and the boys makes a lot of sense. And not to mention, the long-term outlook of the edge rusher position is not as good as most think. Carl Lawson's not under contract next year. Bryce Huff's not under contract next year. So Will McDonald, Jermaine Johnson, and Michael Clemens are the long-term answers at that spot. And I kind of like this draft pick. So my letter grade for Will McDonald is a B. Now, getting into Joe Tippmann, our second-round pick, A-. Now, this is one of my favorite draft picks. I wanted a center, and I needed to get an offensive line for this Jets team in the second round, and I'm really happy that we finally got the guy that hopefully will be the anchor of that interior offensive line, of the heart of the offensive line for the next decade. And I know it's asking a lot, but when you draft a player this high in the second round, and people look at him as one of the top centers in the NFL draft, that's what the expectation is. I've been wanting the Jets to draft the center since damn Nick Mangold retired. And I know I'm not alone here. I know a lot of Jets fans felt the same way. We wanted to draft Creed Humphrey a couple drafts ago. Some people were talking about, a lot of prospects in last year's draft class. But we finally got our guy, Joe Tippmann. Now, there was a discussion. John Michael Schmitz or Joe Tippmann, and I kind of wanted either one of them. John Michael Schmitz goes to the New York Giants, but what makes me excited about Joe Tippmann is he's 6'6", he's versatility to kick inside, and he's really good at communication, and that's really important to have a young center, especially with a win now team like the New York Jets with Aaron Rodgers under center. You got to be able to be that leader and that communicator in the heart of that offensive line. And his size and his athleticism, they just don't make centers that big. I mean, he has this body type for a tackle, but he's playing center that can also kick inside at guard. So Joe Douglas likes his versatility. He's really good in the run game, gets into the second level, really opens up the run game for Breece Hall and Izzy that we'll get into soon. But I like this pick. One of my favorite picks of this entire draft class is definitely Joe Tippmann. Now, getting into Carter Warren, offensive tackle from Pitt. Now, my letter grade for this fella is a B+, because I wanted the New York Jets to get an offensive tackle in the first round, and we missed out on that. So they go out there, they get the offensive tackle in the third round, and Warren Carter is an interesting prospect out of Pitt because a lot of people had him going earlier in the draft if he did not hurt his knee in this past season at Pitt. He is an NFL-ready type of player, has all the tools that you need at an NFL-style offensive tackle, has the long arms, has the upper body frame, has the lower body, has the twitchiness, has the feet, has the hands, has the pass protection ability is what gets me the most excited for Warren Carter. He is a NFL-ready style offensive tackle that you could say is a developmental piece, but you look at last year when the Jets drafted Max Mitchell in the fourth round, he plugged in as a rookie and no one really had any expectations for him, and he exceeded all those expectations. I'm not saying that Warren Carter is the same player as Max Mitchell, but they were both drafted in the fourth round, and Warren Carter could be a really good answer at that tackle spot for not only swing tackle depth, but maybe a starting tackle for this Jets team in the future. I'm not saying this season because I think Mekhi Becton, Dwayne Brown are probably going to win those jobs, but between Warren Carter, Max Mitchell, and Mekhi Becton, you never know because this guy has all the traits, all the tools, the size, the physicality, the technique at that pass protecting spot at left tackle and right tackle. I gave it a B+. I think that this was a really good pick, especially value-wise in the third round, especially with the Jets not getting an offensive tackle in the first round. I love that Joe Douglas got 2 offensive linemen in the first 3 rounds. You got to be able to get depth at that spot, and I'm loving the way this offensive line is looking right now depth-wise. So getting into the next draft pick, which is one of my favorite, Izzy Abanikanda, baby. A- for me. I wanted the Jets to get a playmaker in this draft, and they did that with Izzy. And this is a guy that is coming in here to a running back room that is already loaded with youthful talent. Breece Hall, Michael Carter, Bam Knight. Let's freaking go. Now, this guy is a player that has power element and a speed element to his game. He had 20-plus touchdowns last year for Pitt, 1,400 yards, and he is someone that is a game wrecker. You put the ball in his hands, he's a one-cut downhill runner. He can break tackles. He can go all the way. Anytime the ball is in this guy's hands, he can take it the distance, similarly to Breece Hall. And I love that the Jets are really getting a pipeline of running backs. This is the 4th straight draft class that Joe Douglas has drafted a running back. All started with LaMichael Pirine, then Michael Carter, then Breece Hall, and then we get Izzy. And the Jets got to make sure that they get young and fresh at that position, especially when you look at it from the perspective of Breece Hall coming off an ACL injury. Very unfortunate, but that's the reality of the situation, guys. And Michael Carter, Bam Knight. I know some people are like, oh, what's that mean for Carter and Bam Knight? You never know. The Jets can roll with 4 running backs on the 53-man roster with a Nathaniel Hackett-style offense. But if not, definitely it's going to be between Carter, Bam Knight fighting out for that last spot. But we'll figure it out because I think Izzy was one of my favorite picks in this entire draft. Now, the next player, Zaire Barnes, I give this a C. This is probably one of my least favorite picks in this entire draft class personally. This is someone that was a late riser on draft boards. I know that it feels a need at weak side linebacker, and you want to get a special teams player in there, but Zaire Barnes is a guy that you never know. He has athleticism. He has the length. He has the ability to blitz the quarterback. He has a good instincts at the line of scrimmage. But I know that a lot of Jets fans like the linebacker spot in the draft, and we do have a hole at that weak side linebacker without re-signing Quan Alexander. But me personally, you just re-sign Quan, and the hole is filled. And Zaire Barnes is a guy that some people had going undrafted. Some people had going in the 6th, 7th round. The Jets draft him early in the 5th round, or maybe late in the 5th round. So this is definitely not my favorite pick, but hey, he could develop into a role player for this Jets team, maybe come in on certain dime package looks at that linebacker spot, and he could be a core special teamer. And if he's a special teamer, you get a special teamer in the 5th round, I can't complain because you got to fill out this roster with certain players. But I'll be lying to you guys if I'm just telling you guys I'm excited about Zaire Barnes. He's just definitely not one of my favorites out of this entire draft class. Just keeping it real with you guys. And then Jarrick Bernard-Converse from LSU, the defensive back and special team specialist. I give this one a B- because I actually like the ability to get a cornerback that can also play in the slot, that can also go into the safety, that can also do special teams work. Now, this is a freakishly athletic player that has so much experience playing in college football, and I really think that his athleticism and his size will translate to the NFL. If you look at this defensive back room right now, he's adding a versatile weapon to this, and I think that the Jets, with Robert Saleh and Joe Douglas, they really love versatility to their team, and this is another versatile player adding to the team. If Michael Carter II goes down, maybe he can slot in at that slot. You know, he's going to be competing with Bryce Hall, Brennan Eccles as those depth pieces behind Sauce Gardner and DJ Reed. He can also go back out there as a safety if he likes, because he's that much of an athletic beast. So I like Jarrick Bernard-Converse. He actually grew on me as a prospect. If you're getting a DB from LSU, yeah, I think you're going to be good in hands. I know he wasn't in LSU his whole career, but we'll see what he does. At Oklahoma State, he was a beast as well. And then the final draft pick, which is probably one of my favorites. Zack Kuntz gets the highest grade for me just because of straight value. The value for getting Zack Kuntz here in the final pick of the draft, I'm giving it an A. This guy scored a 10 RAS score. The athleticism is off the charts. I don't know how he fell this far in the draft. I mean, there's a lot of people that thought he was going to go in rounds 4 or 5, but the Jets get him late in round number 6 or early 7. I kind of forgot. But this is the last pick for the New York Jets, and this is a guy that's 6'7", and his RAS score just doesn't even make sense. I mean, the athleticism is off the charts, but what really is cool about this is it gives Aaron Rodgers a potential really big target of a weapon. Now, this is someone that people are comparing to a more athletic Mike Gesicki, or a guy that's just going to be a strict wide receiver, tight end hybrid that can go line up outside, kick inside, go down the seams, big time red zone target, really twitchy, can move his body in midair. And I think that getting a guy like Zack Kuntz, the value is my favorite part about it. And the fact that Joe Douglas was able to land this guy because of those trades, by the way. Zack Kuntz would not be a Jet if he did not trade back multiple times to acquire more assets to get 2 additional picks in the NFL draft. So Zack Kuntz, the tight end, you look at it from the Jets' perspective of this tight end room. Tyler Conklin's not here long-term. CJ Uzomah's not here long-term. We're hopeful that Ruckert is, and Kenny Yeboah will see, but Zack Kuntz can develop into a big-time target for this Jets offense for the foreseeable future. And again, this is someone that would have went really high, or at least higher in the draft if he did not get injured at Old Dominion last season. And you notice a trend here. Zack Kuntz and Warren Carter, both projected to be really high draft picks if they did not get injured. The Jets get value there, hopeful that they stay healthy. So those are all the individual grades. Now let's get into my overall grade for the entire draft class. I'm giving the 2023 draft class a B+ personally. I actually like this draft class. Not my favorite out of all the years. Last year's draft class was definitely a lot better, but I'm giving this a B+ personally, because I just feel like the Jets were able to go with the best player available, and I like the theme with this draft class, which was athleticism. If you notice a theme, Zack Kuntz's RAS scores through the roof. Zaire Barnes, I know I said I gave him a C, but he is a really freakishly athletic linebacker as well. Jarrick Bernard-Converse, his RAS scores through the charts as well. All these guys that the Jets are bringing in, their athleticism, and not to mention the best athlete out of all these guys besides Zack Kuntz is the first-round pick of Will McDonald. This guy has played every single sport his entire life. He's a jiu-jitsu. He plays basketball. It does parkour. He can do backflips. He can jump over cars. I mean, the athleticism is crazy, and I think the Jets are really trying to get fast. They're really trying to get physical, and they're trying to provide depth. And if you look at the positions that the Jets went with, premier rusher, you got to get premier rushers in this league. It's one of the most premier positions in the entire NFL. We went with the biggest hole on this entire team, in my opinion, at center. We inked up that for long term. We got depth at the offensive tackle spot, which is absolutely huge, behind Mekhi Becton, Dwayne Brown, and Max Mitchell. We're getting another playmaker in Izzy, which I absolutely love. Zaire Barnes, that's a position of need at linebacker. Jarrick Bernard-Converse, you're adding versatility and depth at that secondary spot. And Zack Kuntz, what more can you say? Now, the one position I wish the Jets did draft personally is a wide receiver, simply because of the long-term outlook of that position. Who is on the Jets roster beyond this season at wide receiver? Only Garrett Wilson, only Allen Lazard. So I really wish they did draft a wide receiver. I know they brought in a bunch of them in the undrafted free agency pool. If they did draft a receiver, I could bring this up into an A-, but I'm not going to do that because I feel like B plus is a fair grade. Let me know your thoughts down below in the comment section, guys, of your draft grade for the New York Jets 2023 draft class. I'm really excited to break these guys down for the next couple of weeks, man. Rookie minicamp starts tomorrow. Let me know your thoughts, guys. Hit that thumbs up button if you enjoyed and comment down below Jet emoji if you stayed all the way to the end. Love you guys, and let's go Jets. Peace out.